I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you. I know you're out there.
What's up, everybody? I'm Fu.
I'm Jay.
And I'm Main One, and we're Unplugged Free Your Mind, a show where we discuss an array of topics, current events, and world news from an unfiltered, unbiased, and unplugged point of view. Welcome back to another week of Unplugged.
I want to start off by saying, for everybody, get your pen and paper ready, because you're going to take a lot of notes tonight. And the other big thing is, remember, go to YouTube, like, subscribe, share. Like, literally do that immediately to make sure that you get everybody on tonight, because it's going to be a very, very powerful show. And we want to get everybody on to learn and get this information.
Facts.
I just want to put that out there for everybody real quick.
Facts.
What's going on, fellas? How was your weekend?
Week was good. Week was quiet.
What y'all get into?
Nothing much. Just stayed around the house, really.
No tournament this weekend? I'm surprised.
No, it was one, but I was on call, so I couldn't go. So
yeah, gotcha.
Had to stay close, but yeah, we had a tournament in Greensboro, North Carolina. So,
okay.
So stay close, stay local, just chilled around the house. Nothing much, nothing happened, nothing eventful. I will say this, just a small rant. This is for anybody who's listening. If you are on Facebook, and this Facebook is pretty much where you can only comment on somebody's posts. If someone doesn't personally tag you on a post and you don't agree with the post, keep scrolling, because when you comment and say something stupid, you make yourself look stupid. So I get a lot of people, when I post stuff and they miss the point of the post and then they comment some stupid shit, and it's like, bro, you just commenting just to be commenting. Me and Jerome, we got trolls that troll us. That's gonna post. That's gonna comment on no matter what we say. They gonna comment the opposite way of what the post say. So it's just par for the course. But if you don't agree with it, just scroll. Keep scrolling. That's all I say.
Well, you're kind of putting yourself out there.
But if I don't tag you in it, then why are you coming trying to be right? It's like you're not coming to have a dialogue or something like that. You just come and say, "Oh no, you're wrong."
And no dialogue.
Right. Exactly.
Nah, but what the reason why it's annoying based on what he's saying is because we have certain people that respond, and unfortunately they will literally their response, they miss the point of the post. That's the part that's frustrating. Don't come with your preconceived notion of what you think the post was about. Respond to the post. As a matter of fact, and it's funny how something like that could play out. I want to give y'all. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second while I pull this up. I hope I can. Actually, I can't on my what's the name, but I can probably do it. I can do it on Facebook. So I made a post earlier, and it's a meme. I don't know if you two have seen it. So it says, if it worked and it was safe, you wouldn't need to mandate, force, deceive, or threaten those who question it, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was somebody who responded and said, no one is being mandated or forced. LOL, poor Jerome, you lead through fear just like Trump. So this is the thing. This was my response. You're smarter than that. There are jobs and schools mandating it, which is a fact. Sad that you compare me to 45 in any way. She says, many companies have rules and standards that if you don't want to abide by, you simply can find another job. Now, this is my response, and I'm going to end it right here. That's not the point. You said I was spreading fear along with saying it's not mandated or forced when actually it's based on my last response. Let's keep it about the post and the subject only. That's right there is what happens to us all the time. Your response has nothing to do with what I said. If I said it's being mandated and forced, and we know that, but you come at me talking about a company's choice, that's not what the post said. That's what you're saying because now you want to validate your bullshit ass comment. No. Don't work like that with me. And I'm not one to go into that with a lot of people, but with her, I will because of the conversation that we had before. But what we're saying to you is it happens to us a lot because we have certain people who just love. They can't do this with our posts. They got to immediately do this and then start responding. And we were all taught we have to learn how to listen to kind of grasp the information and not be so quick to respond.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are so quick to respond and they do it with preconceived notions. You got to read through. You really got to read through this shit and say to yourself, should I be responding to this shit? And most people, they can't because they want that response. And Maine is dealing with people when he responds, then certain people say to him, oh yeah, you right. Then you should have shut the fuck up in the first place. Like, shut the fuck up. That's dumb.
Like Jay, for instance, this is what I posted yesterday. It says, whenever you call out the actions of the Democratic Party, it's inevitable that a non-thinking person will call you a Republican. That's like saying if you refuse to eat hot dogs, you must be a vegan. So when you hear that post, is that saying that what does that post say to you?
Not much. I mean, it doesn't apply. So
right. So if it doesn't apply, then
personally,
right. But you got people. Well, you got to be willing to call out the Republican Party. Blah blah blah. I said.
You don't have to think though. Some people just like a good banter. And when I said earlier, you're putting yourself out there. You also need to be thinking the fact that once you do post stuff like this, you have people that's going to respond in a way that you don't like, or you won't agree with, or you're going to go there with them. So it's kind of like you're both kind of teetering on the same ideology.
Well, no, because I post to make people think. I don't post to be right. So challenge me not off of emotion. Challenge me off with facts.
Right.
Because I'm always
at the end of the day, you're asking for it. Be that an intelligent response or not. So you have to be thinking about it like they're not thinking about it. Like they're going to post whatever because they're going to go on the defense and they're going to say shit that you ain't going to like.
But Jay,
but if they say something that I don't like, guess what I do?
Scroll. Exactly.
But see, here's the funny thing about what we saying to you. It's always the same people. It's never.
Well, what? It's still the same concept.
No, but for us, if it was a multitude of people, we'd be cool with that. It's always the same people. It's about 5 of them total.
Again, some people just like a good banter.
Let me hit her with this, and I'm gonna see her reaction to this.
Okay.
So you post stuff about your shows, your band, and all this kind. What if you had the same person that every time you post something about the band, we gonna be here, and they be like, "Man, fuck your band," or "Oh, your band ain't shit."
Honestly,
every single time you post something, whether it's y'all doing a benefit or whatever, y'all ain't really that good. I heard y'all saying y'all ain't really that good, every single time. Would that not get annoying to you?
No, because I'm posting so everybody can see it. Why would one comment from the same person all the time bother me? After a while, I'll get it. Like in the back of my mind, I'm like, this is this person, and why would I respond to that ignorance? I'm a little bit bigger than that.
I see you working this TV shit, this internet shit, because I know you. I know you.
You know me from what?
I know you.
When have you ever seen me actually say, oh, and I do have people every time I post something about the band. It's so funny that you would bring that up. They don't say things negatively, but they always have something to say, or I've been there, or I've done it. It's sort of like the classic one-upper.
Right.
You know? But those things don't bother me because I do understand that what I post, I am posting for people to see it. And I realize that somebody gonna have something to say.
Yeah. Okay.
So why does it bother you? I think that's a good thing that you're saying, hey, listen, go and do the scroll up thing, because everybody ain't conscious of that. A lot of people don't have that particular logic. Like, you don't have to always comment on something. You could just scroll and keep it moving. But some people like a good banter. And obviously, they like the things that you post. They like the fact that you are challenging their own thought process. And that's why they got something to say, because they're trying to get a reaction out of you.
Okay, they trying to get some of this knowledge on the slide. They try to say
on the slide. They're gonna take that different avenue just to, I think, to get some conversation out of it, to see if they can,
I can smoke a bag of that.
A little bit.
I can smoke a bag of that. All right.
I'm just saying, and I know what y'all talking about. I follow what y'all be posting, and I see it on the low. I followed the whole post on YouTube between you. I think it was you, Fu. It was under Unplugged, but it was you and somebody named I'm gonna put her name in the chat because, of course, this is we post this, but you were going back and forth with this person for back and forth. She didn't understand what it was that you were trying to convey. And obviously she's on a certain side. I'm gonna post her name right here.
Oh no. I think I don't remember exactly, but you're talking about the person, and I said we can just agree to disagree.
Disagree to disagree.
Yeah. She wanted to keep going
back and forth.
And after I said we could just agree to disagree, I ain't say nothing because he kept going.
Right.
But I'm good.
You see what I put in the chat? That person.
Oh. No, you're talking about what happened was when I was when I was telling you that I was responding to the comments on YouTube.
Yep.
And subscribing to people on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It was one of those people who probably ended up getting the experimental drug or whatever. And basically my responses was some common sense shit, and they wanted to keep on going. I'm good. I'm not doing this with you.
Yeah.
I'm straight.
Y'all, you was going back and forth a little bit, and then all of a sudden you was like, you know what? And I felt that I knew your thought process. Like, you know what? I'm done.
But it goes to what he was saying a few minutes ago. It's like, communication 101 is listening.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't listen because they hear what you're saying and they already got their response queued up already. It's already queued up. So they ain't even hear nothing you said. So they just shoot out their response. It's like, damn, you ain't hear nothing I just said.
Because a lot of people may want an entire audience. I want people to kind of really get this moving forward in life. A lot of people are just reactive. They're not listening to comprehend. They're not really listening to get what you're saying. They're not going to listen to you to try to, go back, do their own little research and try to get what you're saying. And they're just reactive to whatever it is that you're saying that they don't like, because it either applies to them or they think in this case, oh, I see this as a fear tactic. You're trying to put fear in people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's like you gotta pick and choose your battles, and certain things I just won't respond to in that regard. Now, if it's something that I'm passionate about, and I am very passionate about music. Like if you came to say, hey, James Brown really wasn't the Godfather, so I'm gonna argue you down into the ground. And I got I got facts that says he was the Godfather. So
even though you don't know James Brown personally,
nope.
but if somebody say you'll argue him down, but if somebody say your voice is trash, you won't say nothing.
I know my voice ain't trash, and so I'm definitely not gonna argue that.
But you know that James Brown's the king soul, and you gonna argue. So what's the difference?
That's James Brown. I'm passionate about that. I'm passionate about the funk and about JB. Period. But what I don't have to do is argue with someone who really don't. Everybody don't like my voice, and I understand it. My voice ain't for everybody. I respect that. But what we ain't gonna do is have no debate over Godfather. So That's what we ain't gonna do.
All right. Well, I'm sorry I took us down this rabbit hole.
I like this rabbit hole.
Yeah, because we gotta address. Food had an interesting weekend, so I wanted to tell about his weekend.
Yeah, Food. Yo, you're in Jersey, bro, right?
I wasn't gonna say that on camera, but
Shit.
I
see. This is why those before air meetings are important. I'm so sorry.
No, it ain't like that. It's just when you got 3 people on the screen who haven't been chipped, and they can't really track you like that. They can,
right?
Like it's a little different when you maneuvering, but at the same time, it really don't matter because between the chip on your in your card, the phones, they know where I'm at, so it don't matter. It really don't matter. But yeah, I'm up here.
Your watches, your cell phones.
Pops used your card earlier today. So
yeah, everything. So it don't really matter. I'm just not gonna say exactly what I'm up here for because that's none of their motherfucking business.
No.
That right there. Even though we might know that too, but we're gonna keep that under wraps. What I want to do, and then I'm gonna leave it up to YouTube before we play the video, bring our guests on a little later. Is I want to make sure I say the name right. Man, you might want to do it. Because I can't do it on my phone. I want to say the name right of his What's the name of Kwame Brown's podcast? His YouTube channel. I want to make sure I say it right.
It's called The Bust Life or something like that. Hold on, let me look it up.
Yeah, I want to make sure I say it right. I want to big heavy right now.
It's Kwame Brown Bust Life.
Okay. So for everybody out there, if you've been watching what's going on, Kwame Brown, whose YouTube channel is Kwame Bust Life on YouTube, is going in. But he's going in to the point where he's speaking his piece. He's not mad about the name calling of him being called a bus, but it's the disrespect he's getting as a man, with other things that have been said. And he's speaking nothing but truth. When it's the Matt Barnes, who he calls Becky with the good hair, with Steven Jackson, with their podcast, he calling out Charlemagne the God because of what he did based on some shit he put out about his family. He calling out Stephen A. Smith, Chris Broussard. He done called out Jamel Hill. He's not playing. And his whole thing is the media should not be getting paid off the degradation of the black man. Period. And the stuff that he's saying is so on point and so refreshing because he don't give a fuck. I'm talking about not one. And it is a beautiful thing because he does not care and he having a ball doing it. You can see it's so genuine with him and it's just coming natural to him. And the one thing I can say, and man could probably attest to this, I don't remember ever hearing Kwame Brown speak. Ever. I do not remember him saying anything, no interviews, no nothing back in the day. So what he got going on now, this has pretty much been 20 years of built up frustration. And the big thing about it is when you poke a bear, you better be ready to feel the wrath. He ain't playing. So I'm saying, I suggest for everybody, go to YouTube, check out Kwame Bust. All I gotta do is type in Kwame Brown, but I think it's the name of his page is Kwame Bust Life. Check it out. Dude is on point with what he's talking about, and I love it. My man, I big you up, and just know if you ever want to come on this platform, we ain't the Breakfast Club, we ain't all up in smoke, whatever it's called or whatever. We ain't got 1 million subscribers, but our listeners they got free minds. Most of our listeners got some common sense and logical thinking, so they can appreciate what you got to say. So whenever you want to come on, feel free, and I turn it over to you two good people.
Yeah. So I think we're going. Is the guest? Is he on?
He's on, but our art is good. We could, if you want, we can go into the video that you got that you want to queue up.
Okay. So Jay, let's touch on. We'll come back to the current events after the guest, and
okay.
So I got a video that I wanted to play real quick that I saw it the other night when I was, just scrolling through, and it made a lot of sense to me. So, we talk about it. We talk about it. I know people get tired of talking about it, but we got to talk about it because this is what's happening. We talk about current shit. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to keep talking about it, whether people tired of hearing about it or not. So we're going to talk about it, damn it. So cue the video.
Done things our own way, charted our own paths. I wasn't going to just back down from moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis. Psoriatic arthritis wasn't going to change who I am. When I learned that my joint pain could mean permanent joint damage, I asked about Enbrel. Enbrel helps relieve joint pain and helps stop permanent joint damage. Plus, Enbrel helps skin get clearer in psoriatic arthritis. Ask your doctor about Enbrel so you can get back to your true self. Enbrel may lower your ability to fight infections. Serious, sometimes fatal events, including infections, tuberculosis, lymphoma, other cancers, nervous system and blood disorders, and allergic reactions have occurred. Tell your doctor if you've been someplace where fungal infections are common, or if you're prone to infections, have cuts or sores, have had hepatitis B, have been treated for heart failure, or if you have persistent fever, bruising, bleeding, or paleness. Don't start Enbrel if you have an infection like the flu. Visit Enbrel.com to see how your joint damage could progress. Enbrel. Eligible patients may pay as little as $5 per month.
So everybody might be wondering why I played that video, why that video was so interesting to me. So, what we've been saying for the last 6 episodes or since we started is transparency. We would like transparency. Right. So imagine, this is for arthritis. This is to help relieve arthritis. It's an injection that you take, and they listed everything that was adverse effects. So when they list these adverse effects, you have to think, well, how they know it affects these people this way? Because they've trialed it on people, right? They had a clinical trial, right? So imagine if we saw a Pfizer, Moderna, or whatever commercial listing all the side effects and all this kind of stuff. Would that kind of make you think a little bit about taking it or not taking that jab? That would make me say, well, damn, it got this side effect, this side effect. Shit, I don't know if I'm fucking with that shit. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't see nothing, you assuming you led to believe that it's safe and effective and nothing will happen to you.
Wait, I thought that they do list some of the side effects of it.
No. You've never seen a commercial. What I'm saying is, if it's propagandized like everything, like getting it, that was propagandized like that commercial we just saw, would that make people give a second guess? So that kind of makes you say, well, damn, I see why they ain't pushing that, because how can they tell you what the side effects is if they ain't had no clinical trial?
And Jay, to play on what he just said, here's my question. Based on what you know, what are the side effects if you happen to get sick?
So the side effects that I know of from all of the everything that I've seen as far as getting it, it's like soreness of the arm.
No, not the shot. If you get sick.
If you get, what you mean?
If you get the C19. If you get the C19.
Well, yeah, that's a key.
No. What are the side effects? You talking about the last side effect. What are the side effects people who have actually gotten the virus?
You mean after the after effects?
No, what are the symptoms? What he's saying?
What are the symptoms?
What are the symptoms?
Oh, symptoms is like shortness of breath.
No taste.
No taste. Smell. You can have like a high temperature. You can't get sick. I know people that got it felt like stomach virus to them.
Joint aches.
Right. Chills. You get chills.
So flu-like symptoms.
Flu-like symptoms.
Okay. Yes. Now that you said that.
Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Based on what you see on mainstream media, what do you know the side effects are of the shot?
Based on what I've seen, and that's what I was about to say earlier, but that wasn't the question, was that soreness of the arm in the injection site.
Okay.
For some people, it could make them feel queasy, like a stomach virus. Same thing. That's what else? Honestly, like being advertised.
Exactly. See?
That's pretty much it.
So that right there plays into what he said, which is scary because they're not being transparent. And the reason why they can't be transparent is because they don't know. So what I've always said is, if I know what the symptoms are if you were to get sick, and I know my body can fight it based on what has been said, why wouldn't I trust my body more than something they don't even know about? That makes no sense. Yeah. That makes no sense. Obviously, with the commercial he just showed, the trials could have been 5 years, 10 years, where it's documented.
In a lot of cases for pharmaceuticals, clinical trials can be as long as 10 to 20 years.
Yes.
Of them collecting data.
But
and then what happens is they also let you know that you are a part of a trial group.
Yep.
Either the trial group that get it or the placebo group.
But
so they make that clear.
But here's the flip side to all of that. They know that with the stuff they're advertising, they have to do that to cover their ass. With the case of what we're dealing with now, since they aren't held liable, they ain't got to do it. And they don't care. They don't have to give you anything. So
let me say this, and this has nothing to do with anything. But let me add to some of the effects of getting it that I've just researched. It could cause you issues if you have inflammation, you have an autoimmune issue. It causes inflammation in the body, which could be as bad as death for people with autoimmune issues. So if you have that, it could actually, like, for example, if you have something like issues with your thyroid, right? Inflammation can cause you to have to actually, if you're taking meds for that particular issue, like some people I know take daily medicine to try to control the thyroid, it can mess around with that medicine that you're taking. So, or if you have other issues. Now, you know what I'm saying? So these are things that I just looked up and I just seen that, you know what? That's why I'm just weighing my option. And I don't have these issues, but I just weigh my options because you're absolutely right. I don't have enough data collected to say, you know what, this is safe enough to go ahead and just jump out here and do it. I don't want to be a part of an experiment. That's just my stance on it.
So
now, am I saying, and I've taken this stance before, I'm going to be transparent with everybody who's looking. I'm not saying that I'm not going to get it, but what I'm saying is I don't have enough data collected to make me feel comfortable with putting that in me. This is my choice. It's kind of like if it's my choice to do something, if I have the freedom to do something, then it doesn't matter with the propaganda. It doesn't matter that. But what I am going to do, I'm going to be morally safe, because I know I don't have it, and I'm going to still live my life as a person who, look, I'm going out among people. Let me wear my mask. Let me do this. Let me take all precautions, because I know I'm not, and I'm more of a threat to them than they are to me.
Let's go ahead and get ready to get our guest on, because I don't want to keep him waiting much longer. For everybody that's tuning in, I want to give the biggest shout out to Knowledge Reigns Supreme and Black and War, because without them, I don't come across this brother right here. Like, I consider this dude very knowledgeable, and when y'all hear him speak with the conviction that he has and how he comes with it, you're really gonna appreciate it. So I advise you to honestly get your pen and paper ready, because I know I got some questions, and people are gonna appreciate what we're gonna talk about. So without further ado, I want to introduce Mr. Arthur Jones. And Arthur, give people some insight on who you are, what you do, and why you came about this. And you go ahead and mute yourself.
Okay. My name is Arthur Jones. I represent the N. Jones Agency Incorporated. We are a economics company. We help to start companies off on the right foot, to help you get into a place where your corporation or your company is compliant. We teach you the processes for owning nothing and controlling everything. We help you to develop trust, help you to develop wills, both living and trust wills, so that you can put your assets that you gain over the course of your life into a protected dynamic so that your generations benefit from them.
Hold that thought, Art. My man, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's your headset, but you got kind of a
choppy.
it's going in and out, and we might hear every like third word.
I'm gonna see if I can get a better positioning here. Let me move around a little bit.
That sounds better.
Okay. My name is Arthur Jones. I represent the N. Jones Agency Incorporated. And what we do is we're an economics company, and we help you to create generational wealth dynamics, the trust dynamic, the will dynamics, and the set up the abilities as well as the educational part. Because to have a trust is not enough. You must know what to do with it and how it's going to benefit your generations. We help you to put together revocable, irrevocable trust. We help you to learn the difference between the two. We have written books and workbooks and ebooks on the generational wealth dynamics and the nepotistic dynasty dynamics so that other people can stop profiting from your intellectual property. And you and your family, your generations can begin to profit from that intellectual property. In a nutshell, that's what I'm here for, and I'm here to help in any way, shape, or form I can, because we see the way it's crazy because the vaccine dynamic is actually bringing to the forefront how they play word manipulation games.
All right, I don't know what it is, but I guess this show gonna be this serious that they want to mess around with your reception, because at one point you was going in, and when you was going in, it started doing it again.
I've been noticing that on this end, like whenever the conversation gets good, it'll start to get staticky. But in short, I'm here to help you guys build the own nothing, control everything dynamic in your family for generations.
Okay, I'm with that.
That came in clear.
Yeah, I'm definitely with that.
Okay, I'm gonna try and keep the responses short and sweet so that I don't get that static feedback that's coming back. But that's what I'm here for. So if you guys need any information on setting up trust, putting together wills, how they're gonna work together, fire away.
So okay, so I think I have a general idea of what a trust is, but can you break down what exactly a trust is and what is it for?
Yes.
Okay. A trust is basically, we got to go back to our birth certificate and our social security card. Okay, so what happens when you're born? They create an industry, and it's all capital letters, and it follows your birth certificate and your social security card. So now all of the bills and all of the assets, everything that you create throughout the course of your life is tied to that fictitious company. But you don't own that fictitious company. The government.
Straw man. They call that the straw man.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, you don't own that straw man. So the dynamic behind the trust is you are creating a fictitious entity, your own straw man. And you're not the owner of, but you're the controller of that straw man. Through that dynamic, you remove your personal civil liabilities, your personal legal and regulatory liabilities. So now the trust has all its own liabilities, and it makes you a trustee. So now you're working private instead of commercial.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you an example of what's going on right now, and you give me the suggestion of what should happen. My younger cousin is looking to buy her first car. Like literally, I'm talking about we looking to do this like right now. So with her looking to buy her first car, how could we go about her getting her car without it being in her name?
Okay, the original dynamic, when she first purchases that car, she's going to end up having to purchase in her name because the trust is not established already. If you already have an established trust, then it's as simple as that trust purchasing the car. But because if she's going to buy that car and then roll it into a trust, then what she'll do is she'll go in and she'll buy that car. And then once she gets that car titled to her, she can transfer the ownership of that car to the trust. And now the trust will own the car, and she's a trustee operating a trust-owned property. So now, if anything happens, say law enforcement get behind her and say something wrong with the car, that's not her responsibility. That's the trust responsibility. If they want to, and I love this one. This is one of the best dynamics. So if you have a trustee and you're operating a vehicle, law enforcement pulls you over and go, hey, we want to search your car. I don't even have the authority to give you that permission. I'm a trustee.
Okay.
Yeah, that part. So anything they do from that point becomes illegal and they got to throw it out.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that trust is a dangerous document, but it takes a lot of forethought because you really got to go in and think about all of the things that you want.
You're getting low. Your phone is low.
Oh Lord, it's still acting up. Okay, yeah, it's still acting up.
Oh no, that's good right there.
Perfect.
Okay, so what happens is that trust, because it's a living entity from the time that you fund it, and I want to make sure I put that correctly, from the time that you fund it. What happens if people start a trust and they don't fund it, then the trust will die. You can fund a trust with anything that holds value. You start a trust and fund it with your MacBook. Fund it with your iPhone. You can fund it with pretty much anything that holds value. Once it has funding, that trust becomes a living entity. So now they have to go through that trust for anything that trust owns or controls. And the major advantage to trust is it is literally the highest law on the world. It's the highest law that they work on this planet, because it takes literally governmental action in order to open a trust, to go into a trust. In order to do anything against the trust, it takes governmental level action. No regular person can get into it. And because the powers that be operate through trusts, they're not opening them. They're not going to allow you to go after their money. And if they open it up for your money, then they got to open it up for theirs.
So this is why I'm glad you said that. So this is why they can't do anything with Trump. They always say we got to prosecute because he has everything in the trust.
It's literally.
You muted.
I apologize. It's called the Trump Foundation. And the Trump Foundation actually owns all of the real estate. Donald doesn't own any of that stuff. It's all owned by the family. He's a trustee and he's on the board of directors for the trust. So he can recommend sales and purchases and new acquisitions and things of that nature. But he does not have unilateral power in that trust. It's voted on by him and his siblings.
Sounds like a way of protecting your assets.
Exactly.
Your assets.
I'm sorry, you breaking up.
I'm sorry. No, I was asking, is this it sounds like perhaps this is a way of protecting assets.
Yes.
Legally.
Yes. It's literally the only way to protect your assets legally. Because the thing is, everything is tied to you. All of your debts, all of your assets, everything is tied to that Social Security number or that birth certificate. And because they're tied to that, like the IRS, if you're in tax debt with the IRS, they can make you liquidate your 401k. They can make you pull the equity value out of your home or out of your land. If that stuff is in trust, they can only go after the person for what the person owns. This is where people like Donald Trump and the Elon Musk, this is where people like them win, because they set up the trust, and then the trust will own the INC. That's the management corporation. So the trust owns all the assets. They manage it through the INC. And at the INC level, they're a W-2 employee.
Okay.
And y'all know you can't go after a W-2 employee for nothing. The company do.
Right. So what makes this different from protecting your assets this way? What makes it different from a LLC? So say you start an LLC, what's the difference?
Okay, the LLC is actually a pass-through. It's a limited liability company. It's only recognized in the state that you set it up in. And what happens is, because that LLC and you are still tied together, any monies that you draw off of that LLC, they literally come from the bottom line on the profit for the company. You were still tied to that LLC. Even if you take an S election, you still tied to the LLC, because the S election is strictly for the IRS. Strictly. It does not count when it comes to the Secretary of State or any of the civil liabilities that may be attached.
Gotcha. Okay.
The INC, you get a
bigger amount of separation between yourself and the company, because at that W-2, you put yourself as a W-2 in the INC level, and then you have, even though you sit on the board of directors, you are viewed as an employee. And we know employees are not responsible for what the company does. They have to go all the way up to the corporate level, to the board level. This is why at Johnson & Johnson, nobody went to prison for all of those people dying and being sick from that talcum powder. This is
so
how
true.
you get around stuff like that. Because who do you take to court? Who do you name as the plaintiff? These are just employees.
Right. Okay. So here's the biggest question. How do you start your trust, and what will be the benefits of starting your trust? Let's say if you already established like buying stuff, like you already have your house, you got about 2 or 3 cars and stuff, like what will be the benefit of starting your trust after, where you can't roll that stuff is not paid, like you said, that stuff is not paid off. You don't have the title to your home, you don't have the deed to your home, the title to your car to roll into a trust. So what will be the benefit of establishing a trust after you have all that stuff already?
Okay, now what I actually recommend is that you actually go ahead and get your trusts started, and start their life for the trust. Because if you don't, you can wait until you get all of these things together, but then you're going to be putting it on the back burner. So it's a lot easier to get the trust started so that it has a banking continuity, because the trust has its own EIN. It's literally its own walking, talking person, but you just represent all of its movements. So what you would do is set up that trust, fund it simply, and then as you create or gain more assets, more deeded, more titled assets, you would place those or roll those into that trust as you accomplish them, as you brought them in. They set them up like that so that they can capture new assets as you acquire them.
Does it automatically capture?
No, you have to put it in there.
You have to go in and maintain it and add it as you acquire certain.
Yes,
and that, Jermaine, that actually coincides with my question. Because when I'm doing my taxes, I use a certain software, and the software always asks me, would I like to start a trust? And I've been so confused by it. Like, I'm not sure if I want to start it, because why would I want to do that right now? So if you can kind of like tell us, what are the steps? Like Jermaine was saying, what are the steps to actually start it, and then how to maintain it? It sounds like you can start it up. Like, what are fees associated with it? Do you need a lawyer? Is it a legal thing? Do you have to get, like, how do you actually start this and then maintain it? You're muted. Don't worry, that happens to me all the time in meetings. I'm muted.
All right, you muted.
Okay, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, I actually work at putting together a revocable trust template. So,
okay,
what
great.
What you would need is, you would first need the purpose of the trust. You would need the dynamics of how you're going to fund it. If there are any revocation. So if you want to revoke a particular power or revoke a particular set of stipulations, how do you go about that? The withdrawal by the grantor, the death of the grantor. So what I've got templated is, I've got a revocable trust. So what happens is, it will be a revocable trust as long as the grantor is alive. And the minute that the grantor passes, it becomes an irrevocable trust automatically. So now all of those things that you put in place are guaranteed protected. It would cover how you add things, the additions to the trust, who the trustees are, who the beneficiaries under the trust. If a trustee resigns, what process would that go? It really is, it's a lot of different stuff. It really goes, it is kind of involved. I would recommend that you get an attorney to go into when you're doing the trust. But I also want to put this caveat with that. If you mention a trust to an attorney and they question why you need one, you need a new attorney.
Why? Why do you say that?
Well, because attorneys understand the dynamics behind will probate and trust law. And see, if an attorney opts you for a will, they know that they're going to get a larger return off of you probating
Okay.
your will. But they know with that trust, they may charge you $3,600, but that's the last time they'll ever see you.
Gotcha. Gotcha. This
So
is the
yeah,
information that I'm really looking for, and that I think a lot of people should know. And it sounds like essentially, as an individual, you can start your own trust.
yes, you're supposed to. This is the thing. It's actually like it's crazy because the way that America was set up, the country is literally running under a trust. That's what America is. It's a corporation running under a trust grant. The land
So
that
what do you
America,
mean
this
by that?
country uses. Excuse me.
What do you mean by that? We operate
Okay.
the U.S.
Okay. The
If you
way
can
this country
elaborate.
was set up. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The way our country was set up, we got to look at when it was just colonies. How did those people who came over to the colonies, how did they pay to get here? That dynamic. See,
Okay.
the Hudson River is named after the Hudson Bay Company. That company had a contract with the British East India Trading Company here in America. 90% of this country was literally set up by corporations for business. There are so many trusts that are operating, like your federal lands, all of your federal lands, those are under trust.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why Trump has to go through, or the companies have to go through the steps that they have to go through in order to gain access so they can build pipelines. Because you can't just do whatever you want to with trust property. They can't eminent domain it and take it away.
Okay, that's some good info.
Oh yeah.
So
And they
because
have
I notice all the time that people also push having a will and this and that, and it sounds like you probably need to have both. It's a good idea to have both.
Yes, the dynamic is that you have a will and 2 wills and a trust.
Okay.
What you have is one will. That will take care of all of your final expenses or whatever the case may be that's out there when you actually pass. You'll have another will that's called a trust will. That will is designed to catch up any outstanding assets to that trust and place them there.
Okay.
So what'll happen is, so say this will, the trust will be the beneficiary of, and then the second will, you can break that up however you want to break it up among the family, for the funeral home or whatever the case may be in that one to take care of all of those expenses. The will for the trust, that'll catch up. Say if you got a house that you purchased but you hadn't put it in the trust yet, or you got cars or some different land or assets that you ain't even know you had because the county owe you money. All of that stuff will go to the trust under that will. The trust is, I put the dynamic on it the way that I do because it not only protects the assets from other people, it protects them from your own family.
Let me ask you a question. So if someone owns land and they have children, is it safe to say that the way the selling and the operation of that land is under a trust if it takes all siblings' signatures or all siblings to be on the same page to maneuver that land or sell that land or whatever with the land? Is that considered like a trust type of will?
Yes, that's a trust
Yeah.
mechanism. And what
Okay.
I tend to advise when I'm talking about trusts, those kids don't get to sell no houses. You don't get to
Right.
sell no
No.
houses. You don't get to sell
Or
no land.
land or anything.
No,
Yeah.
restrict all of that. Do not
So,
allow them, because land assets is real property.
yeah.
And what happens if you sell land, you selling real property for fake property, fiat currency. That money ain't worth nothing. So you got to keep the land, hold on to the land, and then leverage the land against whatever assets you want to acquire. So don't let them sell nothing. You lock all that stuff up in that trust and keep them from selling it. Because what happens is, if your son get a baby mama, she can't get nothing out that trust. Your daughter marries some crazy dude, he can't divorce and take half of the estate or her properties or no houses. She can't take none of that with him. She don't own none of that. All that belongs to the trust. She a beneficiary. You don't like, you leave with what you came with.
Now,
That's clear.
now, is it a good idea? And I think it is. But I like to hear from you. Is it a good idea to start your kids a trust in your kid's name?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily put anything into that all capital letter name. You feel me? So what you do, if you're gonna get the kids a trust, name it your last name family trust, or name it whatever trust, and then allow them to be the trustees or the beneficiaries. Don't put anything in that all capital letter name, because it'll tie it right back to them. And we want to eliminate the personal ties between that straw man and that company.
Now, about 2 or 3 years ago, they had this thing going on. I mean, it was all the craze over YouTube, and about people saying that it was money. The government was holding money in your Social Security, and you can go to these certain banks. It's like 13 banks you can go to, and they were getting people in trouble with this stuff. And they would talk about your straw man and all kind of stuff like that. Do you know? I know you know about it. Can you kind of?
Yes, this is the thing. If it has a CUSIP number and your accounts have a CUSIP number, so you actually can go look and see what money they're trading in that straw man name. The problem is that's not your account. You didn't set that account up. The federal government did. So when you go and you start accessing those funds through that CUSIP number, you actually committing fraud. You're not the owner of the account. That's why we telling people Social Security, if it was your money, you could go draw it when you need it. You can't. You got to wait till they tell you can. Right. That ain't your money.
Yeah. And they trying to privatize that now. Well, they've been trying to privatize that.
Oh, it's private. Social Security Administration is private. They already done privatized the distribution and the accounting through KPMG.
Before I ask you this question, Art, let everybody know how they can get in contact with you to start setting this up and things like that, because I'm pretty sure there's people out there that do have questions. They might not be asking it now, but I'm definitely getting ready to ask mine. But let people know how they can get in contact with you, so that way you can put them on the right track with what you're talking about.
Okay, if you got IG, go to the N Jones Agency. The N Jones Agency on IG, and you can book a free consultation. You can literally right there in the link tree. It's a free consult. Get in that free consult. Get on my calendar so you can talk to us, because my wife, she does the money side. I do the structure side. She do the money side, all of the accounting and bookkeeping and record keeping and taxes and tax planning and preparation to keep these people out of your business. Because that's the dynamic. You don't want these people in your business. As much as you can keep them out, you want them out. Because every time they come in, they want something. They always coming after something you have worked for.
Yeah.
This is the dynamic behind the trust. Yeah, that's
true. I watch this show, and I'm not sure if it's still in syndication, but it's called, Wheels or whatever. And I watch how a lot of celebrities they don't go there. There are no trust funds. And what happens is you have the record companies and the distributors who, comes for their part first, and the families can almost do nothing. They can almost do nothing, only because they didn't have these things in place. Actually, I think the show is called Wheels or something like that. And it's so unfortunate that this information like this is not available to them at the time in which they are working hard. They are, blood, sweat, and tears just to make the money that they have, to gain the assets that they do have. And then all of a sudden something happens to them and it becomes a big fight. And the next thing you know, people that's not even in your family is out here, saying, oh, this is for me. And legally they can do that.
That's what
because nothing
that's
is
probate.
in place.
That's what probate is. Literally, that's what probate is. Probate, what happens is when somebody passes, the first thing they do is when the doctor give a death certificate at the corner, they get that death certificate, they announce in the obituaries. It's by law that obituaries are published. They're published because it's a notification to all outstanding creditors that an estate is open.
Yes.
Now those creditors, and this is the trip about probate, and most people don't know, they do not prove the debt. I'm gonna say it again. They do not prove the debt. If a creditor come in and go, hey, they owe me $20,000, they ain't gonna prove that $20,000. That creditor they're gonna file their paperwork. They're gonna get in line with their lien. They're gonna file a lien against that estate. Then the family lawyer are gonna negotiate. The state lawyer gonna negotiate. They're gonna pass it to the county clerk. everybody who touched that document charging against the estate.
Yes.
Everybody charging against
And
the estate. Then they'll give that person 20 grand if they got to liquidate assets to do so. And they do that for every one of the creditors down the line. That's why the family ends up with nothing.
And I'm speaking in regards to celebrities, but it happens to people too. It happens to just regular people too. Somebody passed away and somebody's there saying, oh, you owe me. And that's something that I think that a lot of people, you got to educate yourself on stuff like this. That's why, to me, this is important. You need to know you can protect your assets, but you got to do it in a way that's legal and binding. So that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I've actually been talking a lot about the additional benefits that trusts provide. Like, a lot of people don't realize that when you start a trust, it's registered with the federal government, it's registered with the state government, it's registered with the county and with the city. So what happens is the county is on notice, the city is on notice of the trust and who the trustees are. So what happens is it actually provides a level of legal protection from law enforcement agencies, because they know if they harass someone under a trust, then they have the full power of a trust to deal with and not the individual person. That's why trust fund babies don't
that
go
is
to prison.
golden.
They don't go to jail.
That's
They
golden
barely get
knowledge.
arrested.
That's golden knowledge.
Yeah, it's registered. Long as the county will know that you have a trust. And the thing is, once you guys establish the trust, you must become political. You must become political.
Why do you say that?
If you're not in zoning and planning, you need to know who's in zoning or planning. If you're not in city management, you need to know who's in city management, because these people can affect policies in that area that may affect your holdings.
Okay.
And see, that's one of the things we don't do enough of. We're not involved in that zoning and planning. Like, check this out. Y'all want to know who's involved in zoning and planning in your neighborhoods and who's not? Look at the stores. When they redo a highway, or when they highway and safety come through and they redo the highway, which stores, which businesses have a pass through from the median? Which stores don't? You got to go to the end of the block and make a U-turn and come back. We see where zoning and planning now, don't we?
Yeah.
Walmart always got an entrance, don't they?
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
don't care if they're right at the stoplight. They got
an entrance. Yo, sometimes I think that they know like years before, because they know they're gonna put a shopping mall there for them. So they're up on that information. That's golden knowledge, bro. Money, yeah, exactly. Listen, for those of you who are out there on YouTube and Facebook, I think at this point, what do you think? It's time for us to take some questions. I think
I put it out there. I put it out there for people to go ahead and get ready to answer their questions. But if they want to be quiet, I know that all three of us damn sure won't.
No.
I'm gonna put this scenario out. Let's just say a person has $20,000 cash, and they're interested in getting into real estate or whatever. They don't have the trust and stuff set up yet, and all of that other stuff. Like, what would be the steps for them to get ready? Because they want to make sure that the first house that they get, they want to make sure that it's in the trust name, or in the name of the trust, and not in their name.
Okay. So what you do, if you got $20,000 for land, what you're gonna do is part of that money you're gonna use to set up the trust, and then the other part of that money you'll use to acquire the land through the trust. So the trust is going to buy the land, you're not. And what'll happen, when you purchase the land, make sure you're getting the deed. You want the deed to the actual property. If there's a building standing on it, then you want the title to the building and the deed to the land. You want mineral rights. You want water rights. If you got water, a well, you got a lake, you want rights to all of these things. They do not cost a whole lot, but most people don't know you need to have the paperwork that goes with them. Go down to the county assayer's office, tell them I want the water rights to blank and blank, and they'll draw up the paperwork and give it to you. It's that simple. However, you want to have all of the documents that go with that land. now that you have all of those, you got them in the trust, you can leverage the asset value of that to purchase anything else. You want to get the home built, leverage the land. You feel me?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't spend the $20,000 once. Keep spending it forever.
And how? And so you said use some of that money to set up the trust, and then use the rest to get the land. What's a roundabout of how much it costs to actually get the trust?
Hell, you can set up a irrevocable. You can set up an revocable trust for like $90, man.
What?
Yeah, these things don't cost. That's what I'm saying, man. They make this stuff sound like it's super difficult. It's not. They make this stuff sound like it's super expensive, and it's not. I want to put this out there. According to the law, the only people in America who need a lawyer are babies, people who are incompetent, and dead things.
Hmm.
I want to make sure y'all get that. The only people that need a lawyer by law are babies, those who are incompetent, and dead things. When you hire an attorney, you telling them, I don't know how to handle my business. I need him to talk for me.
Mm-hmm.
And this the trick. No matter what the attorney say, you signing it, so you liable. Yeah, it doesn't cost a whole lot for you to do it. It's tedious because it's labor intensive work, because you want to cover all of those things that are not only happening now, but the things that you can project in the future. You got to go through and do a real evaluation of your assets. Most people have a lot more money than they realize they have. You don't realize the things that you purchase still have an asset value, because most people aren't operating under the business dynamic. Because, business, they do depreciation all the time for the things that they purchase. But most people are not looking at depreciation or looking at asset value of the things they purchase. So you purchase a car. Like I was just talking earlier with a brother. He was talking about the 1500s, the pickups, those 4x4s. They're going up in value now since the pandemic. So if you got an old pickup, your old pickup just gained money. You can go buy a BMW now, man. They'll give you a BMW. You want one now? They'll give it to you. You had the worst credit in the world. They'll give it to you. They don't care, because they're trying to get them off the lot, because people aren't buying luxury cars anymore. They're buying utility or cost effective.
Right.
So from what you're saying, and I'm gonna give you the example. First off, I don't want to go off on what I'm getting ready to say without addressing the comment we just got on YouTube, or the question we just got on YouTube. V Mosley said, wait a minute. I think V Mosley is my cousin. I'm looking at it like, wait a minute. I think that's my cousin. Yeah, so I'm good. I'm going to ask the question. Yeah. So forget what I just said. Forget what I said. Here's the thing. Let's just say a person has a credit score of 739, and they interested in getting into real estate, right? So if they have that credit score of 739 and they want to get this real estate and put that real estate into the trust, are they using their credit score to be able to get that house? Like how exactly does that work?
You can do it either way, because the trust has its own EIN. So the trust has its own credit score. It just has a business credit score. It's got a paydex like through Dun and Bradstreet for any other company. If you buy it with your personal credit, then you can do that. That's fine. But once you get it, you need to transfer it over to the trust. So what'll happen is the trust will own the property and you will have the debt, if that makes any sense. So now, even if you lose on the debt from the loan to get the property, you still got the property.
Gotcha.
But how would that work? You said the EIN number. You said the EIN would have its own credit score. How does the EIN build a credit score?
Okay, your trust, that EIN is literally just like any other business or any other corporation. So your trust already has its an initial credit score. It may not be a good one. It just kind of depends on how you fund and what you fund your trust with. So if you fund your trust with 20,000, it looks better to different credit agencies, especially business credit agencies, that you started your trust with double-digit numbers. So they'll avail your trust its own lines of credit, its own lines of so your trust, you will have your credit score, but your trust will have its own credit score. So if you want to purchase that property through your trust, or have your trust purchase the property, that's fine. If you want to purchase the property and then roll it into the trust, that's fine. Now, what I recommend, if you're going to be the person, then let the person absorb the liability and let the trust keep the assets. Because you can't get blood from a turnip. And because you're a W-2 employee at the INC level, you could choose how you pay yourself. I make $34,000 a year. How much you gonna get from that after I put $18,000 in my IRA?
Hey,
That's interesting, because that's my next question was, does things like your retirement fund and your 401k apply to your trust? Like I have a 401k for retirement. Could I add that into my trust?
Yes, ma'am.
My
Yes,
retirement fund, when I work for the state, can I use that? I'm not working for that particular state, but it's there and it's just sitting. I can actually add that into my trust?
Yes, ma'am. That retirement, any type of financial document, anything that will generate income.
You're getting low.
Right.
Art, you're getting low. You're getting low. You're getting low.
Anything that you can generate, anything that generates an income or holds an asset value can definitely go into that trust. Yes, ma'am. Your 401ks, retirements, any stocks, any bonds, any real metals, real properties, anything that'll hold value. You can fund your trust with a MacBook.
Trick question.
Your software is in there.
Trick question. What about your Bitcoin or crypto investments?
Yes,
really?
ma'am. Now, yes. Now, this is the thing with Bitcoin and crypto. I tell everybody the same thing when it comes to fiat currency. It's fake money. Bitcoin, fake money. Our US dollar, fake money. All this money is fake money. So what you do whenever you have investments like that, gain enough fake money off of them so that you can purchase real property assets.
Right.
And
right.
those real property assets in the trust.
So in other words, make sure that you actually take whatever you gain off of that and put it into something.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm so new to the whole investment world. I have to use like the simplest whatever to understand what some of the terms.
Okay. I'm
So yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
I'm gonna give you another tip. With your Bitcoin stock investments and things of that nature, in order to avoid capital gains taxes, you have a 30 to 45 day window from the time that you cash out whatever that value is to transfer it into another asset bearing dynamic. So if you cash out Bitcoin at $300,000, you better put that $300,000 on something in 30 to 45 days. Otherwise, you're gonna pay capital gains on it.
Okay.
So what you do is take it out, put it on property, put it on real estate.
Right.
Take it out, put it on water rights, mineral rights. Take it out, put it on something that you got a real property document on.
Okay.
Now, you don't lose money.
Right, of course.
It just happened to Bitcoin this weekend, right?
Oh boy. Yeah.
So Arthur, we got a question from somebody on YouTube that says, I have a question. How do you claim unclaimed assets?
How do you reclaim unclaimed assets?
How do you claim unclaimed assets?
It sounds like maybe they know of assets that's due to them. How do you go out and claim it?
Y'all breaking up horribly over here, but I'm gonna try and muddle my way through. So how do we reclaim or how do we claim unclaimed assets?
Yeah.
What agency is the agency responsible for dissemination of these assets? Because see what happens, sometimes it'll be on the county level, sometimes it'll be on the city level. So what agency is responsible for those assets that are out there? The county usually has records that you can go to. The county, actually all of them have records. You can go to all of them and see what outstanding debt that if you are on a claim list or if you are on a list that they owe you money, you can go out there and pull that from the county, from the city, from the state. Put your name inside of the cycle and have them pay you out like they're supposed to pay you. They already know they owe you the debt. That's why you're on the list.
Yeah, certain states will actually
remember when you get this claim from them, it is taxable. They're gonna call it income.
Right.
So you gotta always be aware of the taxable amount that is attached to whatever monies they bring your way. No matter what agency bring them your way, you got to be aware of the taxable dynamic behind it.
Gotcha.
If it's a business, it's 21%. Thank you, Donald Trump. He locked it in. Unfortunately, our new administration is trying to make it vary again.
What does that mean?
It's okay. Donald Trump fixed the business or the corporate taxes on the federal level at 21%. And what happened is they used to be on a sliding scale. So the more you made, the higher your tax liability. So if you make $750,000, you're paying 32%. You make $1 million, you're paying 32%. Now everybody pays a 21% flat rate.
Okay. So it's not variable.
You get to keep more of your money.
Okay.
But yeah, everybody remember that you're gonna have to worry about the tax man. He coming. He gonna want his piece. So you make sure whenever you got that money coming in, take about 25%, put it to the side, and 25% generally will cover you. And if the administration, if they start to put it back on that flex and flux schedule again, then it'll depend on how much you bring in, how much your taxable rate is going to be. But just know that when you cash out your Bitcoin, you sell real estate, anything like that, then that capital gains is out there. It's flying around in the wind. So
okay.
You got to make sure you keep yourself covered.
Okay, hey man, this some good information. Y'all missing out. We had a couple people ask some questions.
Yeah, because seriously, you know what happens is, it's that young factor. When you're young, you don't think about these things. You don't consider these things. You don't consider what could happen to you in your demise, and then you don't consider your future. Going into retirement age. Lucky for us, and I'm just speaking for me in Maine when we were in. No, I'm not going there. When we were in our undergrad, we learned to think about these things and to consider these things, because at the time I was actually working, for the college, and I had a retirement plan. I was in my 20s, and so shut up. And so I made sure that I was kind of planning, for my immediate future. For the future that's coming. And so now you get in your 30s and you really start thinking about it. Because you're probably at the height of your career, or at the height of the most money that you're making or will make. And then your 40s come, and now you're thinking about retirement and if something happens to you.
Is anybody else sound like popcorn?
Yeah, I hear that.
I hear it.
That sounds like I got a bag of popcorn in the microwave.
So hold up. I want to be clear about this, and this is probably going to be a conversation we're going to have on the phone anyway. But the first thing that needs to be set up, you need to have an EIN number, obviously, and thankfully the EIN number is free. Is that true?
Okay, you trust. That's perfect. Wait. If you're going to
build again,
if you're going to build the dynamic and you're going to buid that umbrella, then the trust will be the first thing you set up. Most people do it backwards. They'll set up the company, set up an LLC, or set up an INC. But really, the trust is that pinpoint, that hinge at the top of that umbrella that keeps the whole umbrella together. That is the head of that umbrella corporation. So if you start that trust first, and then have that trust successively create ownership lines.
Okay, so
now you don't start the INC where it says name of incorporator. The trust is the name of the incorporator. You don't start the LLCs. The INC do. So it says who's starting this LLC? The INC does, and the trust own everything. That way, you are not in the dynamic as an owner in any way, shape, or form. They can't tie any of that stuff back into your personal finances. You literally are separating yourself away. Now, all you're doing is controlling how that money operates.
So I want to be clear about this, because this is where my confusion is. I have an EIN number right now, but you're saying don't worry about that, but I can still use that EIN number once I set up this trust.
If you have an EIN, if you have it for a sole prop or for an LLC or for an INC that you already have in existence, it is not a problem. When you set up your trust will get its own EIN. It's its own whole new entity, and you can sell whatever companies, whatever assets, you can donate, you can link, you can do whatever you want to get those assets into that trust, depending on what language you use to put them in the trust.
All right, now see this is my thing. I'm gonna say probably what people are thinking out there. How much do you charge to do this? To do the shit you talk about doing right now?
He just said $90, right?
No, he said $90 to set up the trust. That's something separate. I'm talking about what do you charge with your agency?
Okay, I'm going to tell you right now. I don't set up anything. Why? Because if I set it up, you still don't know how to run it.
Right.
Okay.
You got to know how to run and manage your trust. That's one of the most pertinent parts. It's actually better if you set it up because you know what's in it. And the knowledge reigns supreme, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
The knowledge of how to operate and work that trust is where the real benefit comes from. Just having the trust and not knowing what to do with it ain't gonna benefit you none.
Okay.
So essentially, you provide the service of giving them the knowledge on how to get this going. And you mentioned it earlier. You have a template for that. Okay.
And what's that? So that's what I meant. I think that's what I meant to say. What is your charge for giving people the guidance?
Okay, this is the thing. It really is going to depend on how intense it is. Some people have a lot more assets than other ones. Some people want different things out of the trust than other ones. Like I dealt with a family not too long ago, and they got 15 members in their family who putting together this trust. So that's a much bigger ticket than just 3 members. So yeah, it just kind of varies on what the specifics are. That's why I said you just gotta hit me up. We'll sit down and we'll do a free eval. We'll go over and see what all it looks like, flesh it out, so that we'll know what it looks like and what type of assets you're bringing in, what the paperwork dynamic is gonna look like, because we really don't know what all you need until we know what all you're trying to protect and how you're trying to protect it.
Right. Let me ask you this, Arthur. So, in some of my previous employment, I used to be involved in the 401k. I'm not now. I have chosen to take my money, the extra money that I would be putting in the 401k, and purchase real property. That's what I've chosen to do, because what I've seen from 401k is, okay, so you get penalized for taking against it early. You can't get it when you want to, and then, like you said, with this fiat currency, once it's not worth anything. So once they say that it ain't worth shit, or something happens, the market crash or whatever, then you lose, some of the shit that you done put into. So I just saw it. This is how I chose to do. I don't tell people not to do the 401k, because a lot of people come to me and they make sense, and they're like, well, if the company gonna match this, you need to go ahead and get that money from them or whatever. And I'm like, well, I would rather have the deed to real properties that I can, sell or whatever, versus sitting here throwing money into a 401k that I got to wait until I get a certain age to get to it, or get penalized for getting it, or may lose it. So what are your thoughts on that?
I'm in 100% agreement, because if the 401k really doesn't benefit the person investing in it, it benefits the company. Let's just keep it 100. 401k benefit the company, not the people investing in it. And if you leave your money in there, what is your maximum interest rate earned? How much money you actually gonna earn from putting your money into that 401k? Now, if you got a company that does matching dollar for dollar or percentage-based matching, then it may be pretty good, because it'll help you gain assets quickly. But you still, even if you're gonna pay the penalty, need to turn it into something real. Because real property is where it's at. I can't stress it enough. They go to war over land. Ain't going to war over no dollars. They go to war over land, though. They go to war over water and minerals. They go to war over this stuff. If it's something that they literally go to war over, that's where your money need to be. That's where your ownership needs to be.
Yeah. And I get a lot of flack when I talk to, friends and people at work, and they be like, oh, you're not in the 401k? And I'm like, nah. And then, and I don't, tell everybody my business, but, for this platform, I'm going to share some of the insight of just some of my thinking that, and like, again, this is my thinking. And, so my real property will probably be worth more than what I would be putting in this 401k, or get out of this 401k once it's all said and done, once I'm, done working. Because my retirement age, I've already set a date that after 50, I'm done. So that's 7 more years. I'm not punching the clock no more. So
now, Art, one of the viewers asked, I'm assuming this is based on if they have a trust. Do I have to file income taxes?
The trust has its own income taxes. They pay their own taxes. And thank you again, Donald Trump, 21%. Trust is a business. They pay their own income taxes. They pay their own. The trust is its own entity. Your job is just to manage it.
So in other words, you do your own individual income tax, and then you need to do your income tax for your trusts at the 21% percentage.
Yes. Yes. The trust has its own set of taxes. And again, the trust is responsible for its own liabilities, its own federal liabilities, regulatory liabilities, and civil liabilities. You are not responsible for those. I hear a lot when the people are talking about INCs and they were like, you're getting double taxation. There's no such thing. You and the company are not the same. As long as you and the company or you and the corporation are not the same, you're not getting double tax. It's paying its taxes, you're paying yours.
Okay.
So
And
the
then,
dynamic by which,
then-
dynamic by which if you have a trust and you're worried about the trust taxes, you're supposed to have an accountant. If you don't have an accountant, get an accountant. And the best way to have your accountant is send somebody who is under that trust to school for accounting. That's how your trust's supposed to work. So now all of the dynamics that it'll take to take care of the family in the long term, your trust is supposed to direct those dynamics. I like to use the Kraft family, KRAFT, the cheese people, because the way their trust is structured is brilliant. So they have a athletic wing to their trust. That's where they own the New England Patriots and Arsenal, the soccer team, and the soccer team they're acquiring in Africa. Those are owned through that dynamic. They have a business dynamic in their trust that helps develop business skills, open businesses, and manage companies for the members of the family. Then they have an education dynamic to their trust that covers them from birth to death. Any PhDs, any doctorates, any school you need to go to, that's coming from the trust. Anything you got to pay back, you pay it to the trust. So what has happened is they have eliminated the bank. They have eliminated credit companies from their family's ability to access funds. Now everything is internal. So if the family send you to school for 4 years, then you owe the family 4 years working for us under this trust. You want to start a business, you go to school for dentistry, the family going to start that dentistry business. You can run it, you can manage that practice all you want to, but you won't own the building. You're going to still get the money, but you ain't got the headaches from owning the building. You don't have to deal with all of those type of things. That's still a family asset. Now, when you got nieces and nephews and cousins coming up through the generations, it's really easy once your family is diversified in their ownership to place them family members any place they need to be.
Wow.
Oh yeah,
Someone,
the Kraft family, they own auto services, veterinary medicine. They've got, not the cheese is just the smallest part of the things they own. Anything that their family has an interest in, anything that somebody in their family has a skill set for, they develop it, put them through school, and start them a business. And
Wow.
then the family goes to them for that business. So the graphics that are produced at Kraft, they go through their family. That's somebody in their family own that company to create those graphics. That's somebody in their family that the car lot. When they want cars, that's a Kraft car lot that they go to. They keep the money in the family. It's cycled internally, repeatedly.
You got to educate yourself on these things. You really do. I think there's another question Fu you was about to ask. That person's question.
Yeah, V. Mosley said, can a trust help your money grow, compound interest daily or monthly better than what the bank institutions offer?
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Because earned income is the highest taxed rate of income. Money that you physically work for is the highest tax rate. Unearned income actually got better taxable rates. So the trust is going to end up on top. Just by that alone, the trust going to end up on top. Yes, it will help your money grow faster because it is a culmination or an amalgamation of all of the outstanding asset value. So now it's not just the home you have. It's the home, the land, the cars, all of everything that the family has. Now you can leverage that as one lump against anything that you want to purchase. And everybody in the family has the ability to access that leverage.
Wow.
Not all this is knowledge that's purposely hidden from the average person.
That's what it
yeah.
sounds like, because a lot of people don't know about this. Like, I'm learning so much tonight.
They've
What I'm
convinced everyone to play checkers while they play chess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so how does it? So is this a person gets a trust? Do they, once they open the trust and they have that particular EIN number associated with that trust, that's when they go to the bank to open up a business account using that EIN number?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then operate under that EIN number when it is trust business. So when there's a house being purchased, trust buying it. When there's cars or whatever being purchased, trust buying it. The trust buys all assets. You don't buy nothing. You don't want
Okay.
anything to belong to you, because they can't really come after the trust for anything. Trust put insurance policies on all the assets. Car getting the wreck, they turn
Man.
over, the trust gonna cover that. The insurance company gonna cover that because the trust owns the damn insurance policy.
So another question is, and I do want to just take a minute to thank some of the new people that's tuning in tonight. This is really good information. I hope you guys are writing some of this down, and feel free to post your questions, or feel free to come on live with us. The question is, how much do you have to start with? And I feel like I know the answer, but I'll let you answer that, Arthur.
I was trying to unmute my mic. You can actually start
It's okay.
fund the trust with, you can fund the trust with almost anything that has asset value. That's why I point out, I use a MacBook. MacBook costs about $1,200. You can start your trust and fund it with the $1,200 value of that MacBook. Now add to the value as you transfer.
In other words, whatever you acquire after that MacBook or whatever, you're maintaining your trust by adding in that new asset. So, I mean, the thing about it is, a lot of us, we're really not that knowledgeable about, trust funds and the likes and accounting. I mean, that's one class that I just really didn't like. So it sounds like you're saying you can fund it so I can start my trust. I have my MacBook. My MacBook is worth X amount. And then as I acquire new assets, I'm just adding to that list.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And that's the dynamic you want to work off of, because you don't want to wait until you have all of these assets, then try to roll them in the trust, because then you're going to need an actuary. You're going to need somebody estimates, and you're going to need somebody to add value to your properties and add value to it. It's easier to do it when you get it, because then the value is already established when you get it. You know what it's worth because you just bought it. Now take it and transfer it.
Man, I wish I'd have known this information 7 years ago.
I know I need to play catch up, and I don't want people to think that we're just saying things of like thousands and thousands. I have a $500 computer myself. I have an HP. I feel like I can add that. I own it.
Why not?
It's new. So it doesn't sound like that. It doesn't sound like that. There's like a super small amount or whatever. Like you just, the point of this is you need to start it.
Yes.
And maintenance it.
Yes. The point is you have to, once you get it initialized, then it comes to life. The minute it's got some money in it, the minute it's got some asset value, it's alive then. And once the trust comes to life, it literally takes an act of Congress to open it. Nobody can go in it but the person who put it together. So now you guys, unless you put it in stipulations, then somebody can go in it, and you really want to limit those. You don't want a whole bunch of people being able to access and change different bylaws or dynamics to your trust. You want that thing to be locked down as tightly as you can get it, because the tighter it's locked down, the less you have to worry about 100 years from now somebody trying to come against your property and take something. Because remember, this is not for the short term. This is in the
long term.
We planning 150 years. We covering grandkids, great grandkids, people who will only see you on a picture on the wall.
Right.
Gotcha.
Somebody asked any advice on Roth, IRAs, and REITs?
Yeah.
Anything that is a asset-bearing instrument in the trust is the beneficiary of it. You want to make everything, as many documents, as many dynamics as you want to fund, to go into that trust. Any financial instrument, go in that trust. because again, you don't want the liability.
Okay.
You don't have the liability. So like if it's your IRA and say you want to pull money from that IRA, you gonna pay penalties. You gonna end up with issues. Say your IRA is $300,000. Well, if the trust has that IRA at $300,000, they don't ever have to go into the IRA. They have the leverage asset ability of those $300,000. You don't ever have to sell your things. You don't have to come off of or break open your different financial instruments. You can use the leverage asset value coupled with all of the other assets you got in that trust. That gives you a hell of a lot of money to work with. So now,
and again, it sounds like, and again, this sounds like a way of protecting your assets from any and everything. And I'm gonna put it out there, and you could please correct me if I'm wrong. Say for instance, you owe X amount to the IRS, and you have a trust fund. They really can't do anything with. They can't touch your trust, whatever is entered in that trust. Because when I work for an institution in the state of South Carolina, we would get them letters that says, you know what, you got to start, we're gonna start debiting or taking money out of your paycheck because you owe us. Creditors did it. The government can do it. This, that, and the third. But if you have certain things protected, what you're saying is they can't touch it.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you how deep this is, and
please.
There are some people who are currently upside down with PPP loans. I don't want anybody to say who it is. You know who you are. If you got a loan and you ain't had that much money, you know who you are. Yeah. This is how I have worked with someone before. This young man, he's in a position where he's gotten quite a bit of PPP money, and he's worried about the government coming back and hitting him for that PPP money. The loan that he got with PPP was in his name, so he purchased assets. Told him, man, purchase real property. Now take that real property and put it in the trust. So if they come back to you for the money, you ain't got the money. You can't get blood from a turnip. The money is attached to Social Security. What do you claim with that Social Security card as income? That's what they have to go after.
Okay.
So dude just took the money, flipped it into real property, put it in the trust. It's protected. They can't come back and get it. They can only find him. They can only make him responsible for that money, paying over time or whatever. He can work him out a deal and pay him $30 a month.
Now, does this protect you from stuff like, when you're in debt so much and you can't cover something and you have a trust, sometimes it does, one of the penalties is jail time.
Well, the only people who can lock you up for debt,
but what you're saying is they can come after you.
Well, there's only one agency that can lock you up for debt right now, and that's the IRS.
Yeah.
Nobody else can really lock you up for debt. And the way the IRS does it is you have to openly be fraudulent and just flailing your fingers in their face. You got to literally shoot them a bird for them to try and prosecute you that way. Because if you reach out to them and say you in trouble with the IRS, you done got some letters, don't avoid them. Reach out to them, work out whatever, go through the processes and get on whatever deal it is. Because the dynamic is you as a person gonna always carry liability. You gonna always carry liability under that Social Security number. You don't want your assets to carry that liability.
Right.
You want to take you want to appear as poor as you can. You want to be destitute.
Poor as possible.
Well, because think about it. Elon Musk, he owns Tesla. He owns SpaceX. This dude got multi-billion-dollar companies, but he paid himself $60,000 a year as a W-2 employee.
Really?
Yes. And he writes off $18,000 for individual retirement, another $18,000 for his health care, and baby, Elon Musk qualified for food stamps.
No way.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
So
that's why Donald Trump only had to pay $750 in taxes.
You see, but and I think that this is the mysterious thing for the average person out here. You know what I'm saying? That's working, you have your income or whatever, and you don't know these things. Why do you think that stuff like this is not general knowledge? Like they make paying your taxes general knowledge.
Debt slavery. The 14th Amendment made every person in this nation a debt slave. Their dynamic is to put everybody. See, you owe them money before you're born.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They put a bond on you for $1 million that is attached to that birth certificate. They trade it. They make money off of the people. When they went from the gold standard in the 30s, they went to the people standard. We became the backers of the money. So what they do is all of your assets are already spoken for the most part,
Wow.
unless you pull them out of the system.
They make money on you when you're born and more money on you when you die.
Yes, sir. And just the trip, all of the money is regulated. That's why you got to jump through hoops to have a baby at home. You can't just have any kind of funeral you want. That's
No.
not how that works.
No.
The dynamic is to get the money out of your pocket before you ever get it in there. This is why in the education system, they do not teach politics. They do not teach law. They'll brush across it, but they don't teach it.
And again, this is why, and I say this, I repeat the same thing just about every episode. You've got to educate yourself, because there are certain, things that works in your favor. I mean, I felt like this. I'm like, I'm working hard like this. I'm paying all these thousands of dollars to the federal government. I do have assets. I do have, a retirement plan. I have the 401k. I have this, I have that, but it's really doing nothing for me. And if something happens, they can take it all.
Yeah.
I have nothing. So
That's
it's like,
that's the setup. That's literally the way the system is set up. It's set up to reclaim those assets. They're energy thieves. They want to steal the intellectual property and the assets that you create throughout the course of your life. Their job is to take your children's inheritance so you don't have one to give them. That's how their children are rich. The imbalance. The mission is to pull your assets, those things that you acquire, your intellectual property in particular. And I cover the intellectual property really heavy because that is your keys to your wealth. The way that you do what you do, the thing that you do, that is money.
wow.
Your employer,
And
your employer
it's a
don't
shame
hire
we don't know that. We don't. I'm gonna be like 100% right now and say the average person does not know this.
Yeah. Your employer.
We're working hard
My thing
to
is,
pay
I got
taxes,
exposed to
and
a
we
lot of
have things we can't even use.
I got
To
exposed
our
to a lot
advantage.
of this, starting businesses and having to take my companies overseas. I got exposed to a lot of this because a lot of this stuff they do internationally, but they talk about it more in the European stages. They talk about it more in the Japanese markets than they do here in America.
Right.
And that's where I got a lot of my exposure to the way these work, because before I went to Asia, I thought trust was just American, but no, trust law is operating all around this planet. And a trust in Japan is locked down just as tight as a trust in New York. They're not letting you in it. They're not. It is literally the best asset protection dynamic we have.
Yeah.
We
That's what
don't
it sounds
have a
like.
better one. So
That's what it sounds like.
every family needs to have a trust in place. They need a trust more than they need a will. And we know how bad we need wills.
Yes, Lord. And that's the thing. Like, that's the talk, like, make sure you have a will, but no one talks about how to protect your assets, which is, to me, the most important thing.
Yeah.
Anything can happen to anyone at any time. Anything, If people fall on hard times, and fall on them hard times, education like this is what you need to know.
But you know what?
Because you can be prepared.
Check this out, sister. This the trip, though. People fall on hard times because they don't have these things in place already.
Absolutely.
I talked to a young lady. She was born as a trust fund baby. Her great grandfather set it up. Her life has been completely different because she a trust fund baby. See, in the town she's from, in the city she's from, police don't harass them. They don't harass her family at all, because they know if they do, they got to deal with the power of a trust and not one person. So they handle them differently. There are, when something is happening in that community, they call and notify them because they're trust holders in that community. They own land that's in trust. You can't do anything you want to it.
Right.
Like, it's right now, there's an issue going on in Alabama and Mississippi where they are taking the land from farmers through eminent domain. You can't do that if that property is in a trust. Eminent domain does not apply. to trust properties.
Arthur, somebody said, if I attain 20,000 in value of stuff, can I transfer to start in real estate?
Transfer it to a trust, and now you got $20,000 worth of leverageable assets in that trust. Yes, you can.
And with that person saying that, I want to kind of piggyback off of that. Once you open up the bank account in the name of the trust, you're saying you can deposit money into that trust as much as you want?
Yes, sir. Especially as the grantor. If you're the person who set up the trust, you put whatever you want in there.
But see, the reason why I asked that is because, and I'm just gonna be real with it. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. I would think that somebody who doing something illegal, we know the type of group of people we talking about. If they knew about trust, they never would have got hit like they did. Is that correct?
Yes, 100%. The trust is there to protect you from the illegality. I'm gonna go back to Johnson & Johnson. How many people they killed with that talcum powder? Nobody ever got brought up on any charges. That's what the trust in these that's what the organizational dynamic, the trust, the INCs, the LLCs, that's what that's for, to protect you. You are not the person responsible. It's to remove all of the liability from you and place it on an entity that they can't put in prison. I want to put this out there. Everybody do a quick Google search. Escobar Incorporated. You heard me. Escobar Incorporated. Pablo Escobar and the family incorporated their company under a trust, even as drug kingpins. That's why it took the federal government to go get him.
Marion Burnett says, how many people is reasonable?
Say again?
She said, they say, how many people is reasonable? I guess as far as when you start the trust.
You as the grantor, this is how I generally do it when I'm talking with families. How many people are going to be actively vested in this trust? How many people are going to benefit from it? If you want your kids to have access to it, then you need to be involved. If you want your grandkids to have access to it, then you need to be involved. If you ain't involved, then how you going to have any accesses? You don't know what you're doing. So it's one of those dynamics. If you wanted to cover them, and if you want to cover people who are not going to be involved, you can do that as well in the trust. You can literally put stipulations and qualifiers. So if for the education benefit, you want them to hold a B average and be socially active, you can put that in the trust. And then they got to prove that they got that average and that they socially active in order to access the funds.
That's what Ghost did on Power.
Yes. Yes, stipulations in the trust. You put those stipulations in, they got to meet or exceed the benchmarks that you set in your trust for them to access the different benefits from that trust. So if you want to go to the school for 4 years or you want to go get your PhD, fine. We'll pay for you to get your PhD, but you're going to come back here and you're going to work for the family for 8 years. You want
and attribute to
you're going to give us 8 years. Don't that take care of grandma and granddaddy when they start getting older? Don't that take care of you when you got ailments?
Arthur, I'm gonna be hitting you up. I'm gonna hit you up tomorrow, bro.
Definitely me too.
No problem, guys. No problem. No problem. This the dynamic, because again, the more of us that have this in place, see, my mission is actually larger. I know how to stop us from being abused in the streets by law enforcement. This is a fact. This is simple. You get a $1 million life insurance policy covering the members of your family, and then get a double indemnity clause for violent death or death by law enforcement. And baby, you ain't got to sue them. Geico will, Progressive will, State Farm will. How quickly will laws get changed?
That actually makes sense. Yeah, you don't have to sit there and wait for some type of settlement from these people. Because the insurance company, because you're invested in that insurance company or you have that insurance, they're gonna get their money.
Yes, ma'am. They gonna pay you, and then they going straight after them. You want to see a cop lose his job? Let the insurance companies come in there and start making noise in the department. They'll buy all of them.
And that's that's a good idea, Arthur. Because guess what? Guess who helped set policies? These insurance companies. They all in bed with the government anyway.
Well, see, this is the dynamic. We cannot fight them as individuals. That's the power of the trust. You're not fighting as one person. Now you're fighting as an army. And see, when I know this, one thing for certain, two things for sure, they pay attention to the money. If you coming in talking about suing, they can settle out of court with you for a few $1,000s, make you sign a non-disclosure agreement and get rid of you. Insurance companies could start suing. Oh no, they suing the state, they suing the county, they suing all of the agencies, they suing everybody they can stick a lawsuit on. They can't afford that. So what they do is they start to leave you alone. That's why they don't mess with trust fund babies. They don't mess with them because it's gonna cost them too much. You know, if I just beat up Pookie on the side of the street, Pookie ain't got nothing to fight with. But if Pookie under a trust fund, it's Pookie of the Johnson Family Trust. Oh, I got a problem now. I can't just beat up Pookie because I got the whole Johnson Family Trust coming after me. I ain't gonna have my job. The county can't even protect me. The Benevolence Association can't even protect me. And it's bad because once you get the trust in place, your trust donates to these nonprofit organizations. So now you paying the Sheriff's Benevolence Organization. You paying the Policeman's Benevolence Fund. Oh yeah, it changed the whole dynamic of how they deal with you. That is why I stress that trust dynamic as much as I do. Because it don't just protect the assets, it actually protects the family.
That's incredible.
Quick question. Wow. Has anybody ever seen the chief executive officer of a corporation being led away in handcuffs?
No. He probably lose his job, but that's about it.
And you never will. There's a particular department in the law enforcement agencies called corporate crimes. You're not even in the same area as regular criminals anymore. It's just not the same. It changes the whole dynamic by which you're operating.
Yeah. See, this for me changes everything. And it's about having these types of conversations because you start to understand what you can do, what you can't do, and what you should do. Because all three of those things are completely different. And it's like, for me, I can't wait to have the conversation because I'm sitting here wondering how the hell can I put this laptop that I'm talking to you now into this trust? Like it's a lot of questions that I have.
Okay.
But like the biggest thing
got an asset value, right? What you do is you'll go on and you'll do a Google search, or you'll go on and do a search. What is the asset value of that laptop right now? That's the face value. Take that face value, and that is what that laptop is worth. So when you transfer that laptop to the trust, that dollar value of that laptop is the dollar value in the trust. The trust don't actually hold the property, it holds the asset value of the property. You feel me?
And I would presume from that, if you have any type of, because when I buy laptops and certain devices, I get insurance on it, 2 to 5 years, depends on what's offered. My TV, all that. Is that inclusive?
I'm sorry, Sugar, you broke up so bad I couldn't even make out what you were saying then.
No, I was kind of piggybacking off of what Pooh asked, because I said when I buy devices and big ticket items like TVs and devices, I also buy the insurance that covers it for X amount of years. Is that inclusive?
Yes. Yeah. The trust owns all of that. You don't own
because
that.
I can say, for example, I had a TV and I bought the TV in 2016. Something happened in 2020. And I went to Allstate. I had the insurance through Costco, and they gave me the full value of the TV.
Yes, ma'am. The insurance for the TV itself, all of that stuff belongs under the trust. So when there's a claim, say something happens to that TV, and you need to file a claim, the trust will file that claim. It's not you filing the claim. It's
right. It's the trust. Right. I get
Yeah,
that.
the trust
But
will file a claim and they'll get the replacement and they'll send it out. However, that stuff is set up at address. They'll send
and
it out.
that's
If
what
you're
I'm
the trustee, if you're the
that's what I'm
trustee,
saying. That insurance, buying that little, some
yeah,
stuff you buy is $3.99 or $5.99 for that. I think the TV at the time I bought it was $99, and it covered me for 5 years.
yes, ma'am. That insurance goes right in there too. Yes,
Incredible.
ma'am. Because the dynamic is that, again, you don't want to actually be responsible for anything. You just
Right.
speaking on behalf of.
Of the
You are
trust.
in representation of the trust. It ain't you. It's them. I'm here representing them. It'll change a lot of the ways that companies do business with you. Because like a lot of the proving methods that companies want you to do personally to launch a claim, the trust don't have to go through all of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they don't. Trust is business to business. It's a business to business exchange. It's not a person to the business. Yeah, it's literally a B2B exchange. And business to business, there are a whole lot of advantages business get when they work with each other as opposed to a person going in and purchasing.
Okay,
So,
no, that makes a lot of sense.
oh yeah, you want to work in the private sector, not the public sector, not the commercial sector. You want to always work in the private sector as much as you can. That's why when you drive in the car, you're a trustee operating a trust-owned property. And if somebody got a problem with it, then you talk to the trust, not to me. I work here.
Okay.
Arthur, somebody said, which is better, a foundation or a trust?
The slick way to do it, and I say this like this because it is, the slick way to do it is they'll have multiple types depending on how big your company or your trust gets. You'll have a corporate trust, you'll have a family trust, and you'll have a nonprofit or a foundational trust. The foundational trust handles all of the nonprofit dynamics. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw a correlation to the Clinton Foundation. So you got Bill and Hillary Clinton. They authors and they write books and they do speaking engagements or whatever, and that's on the personal side. However, the Clinton Foundation, they have all kind of programs. They were actually slated to handle the rebuilding of Haiti after the earthquake and the storms. The Clinton Foundation got access to the money, but the Clintons sitting on the board of directors of that foundation, even though they weren't tied to the liability of money, they got to decide how the money got spent. So they decided to give the contract to Roger Clinton. See how that works? So now you're getting federal government money through your nonprofit organization and disseminating it to whoever you see fit under contract.
Okay. Next question, Maurice is asking, so it would be best to start one before you start a business.
The optimal dynamic is to have a trust on top. Underneath that trust, it'll own the INC, the incorporation. You at the INC level will be a W-2 employee of that INC to manage the assets of the trust. Any real property assets of the trust should be individualized LLCs. So if you got 20 acres of land, that's an LLC. It's managed by the INC and owned by the trust. You feel me? That's
got it. So start with the trust, and as you acquire assets or start businesses, you add that to the trust.
Yes, ma'am.
And those LLCs become employees of the so that trust is sitting on top.
Okay, this is how it works. If you put the trust on top, and then underneath that trust, the trust owns the INC and everything that the INC owns. Now, all of those businesses you start under that INC, the trust already owns them. You ain't got to put them in the trust; they already there. You feel me?
Gotcha. Yeah.
It sets you up so you don't have to do all those transitions and roll all of those properties. As that INC acquires or opens companies, the trust already own the INC and everything the INC owns. So when the INC start owning stuff, the trust already own it. It's already
automatically.
Right.
Okay.
That's why I recommend starting the trust first and then building that umbrella down. Now, if you already have businesses, you already got a holdings, you already got LLCs and these things, it is not a problem. Start your trust. Your trust, you can sell all of those things to your trust. Your trust can buy all them things from you, or you can just roll them into the trust.
That's what I wanted to hear. Arthur,
Yeah,
man, you the
already
man, bro.
got stuff. Yeah, you already got stuff. It's not an issue. You can put all of those things into the trust. That is not a problem at all. Never let nobody discourage you. So, well, you got too much. No, you don't. You can roll that stuff under that trust, and that trust will own and control all of those things, and then you can kind of disseminate, manage how it gets disseminated, manage how it gets used, and leverage the asset value of all of those combined assets together.
Gotcha.
Man, good shit, man. Good shit, Arthur. Appreciate it.
Oh yes, definitely. I'm glad everybody around here considering what type of trust they need to start now. I'm glad
Yes.
y'all getting into it. Yeah, I hope everybody's online and they Google searching and they coming up with information and they researching these trusts, because only 1% of our society uses them. I'm gonna say that again. 1% of our society uses trust. And
That's
it's no
crazy.
coincidence that the 1% are the ones who are the billionaires.
Yep.
That's not a coincidence.
Yep.
So how does one, where exactly does someone need to go, or what do they need to do in order to start a trust if they want to start one, like once this show is over?
Okay, Legal Zoom, Legal Nature, all these different programs, all these different legal dynamics, they have places where you can put together trusts in these things. But I would prefer that you made yourself aware of what is in a trust and how it operates first before you go and start it, because the language that you use in that trust is going to bind your assets. So you got to have some understanding of what that language is that's going to go in that document. So that, again, that's why I won't just set up a trust for you. You have to know what's going on in that trust. You got to understand the language of that trust so you know how your assets are protected.
See, the reason why I said it like that was because what I want everybody to understand who's watching this, don't just go out there and do this on your own. If the N. Jones agency has it so there's a free consultation, I highly suggest you reach out to Arthur and his wife to set up this consultation so they can guide you of what you need to do. Because doing this on your own, you might put yourself up and you might fuck yourself. That's not what we want. That's not what this is about. This show was about true education and understanding about something a lot of us had no clue about, to put you in the right direction so that now you can know what to do and maneuver and play this game the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. That's why I won't set it up. You need to know. These are things, they kept this education away from you for a reason. These are the things you really needed to know. You graduate from school learning you know Pythagoras and don't know shit about protecting your assets. That's a plan. They do that intentionally. So you gotta, it's unfortunate that there's a learning curve. It's unfortunate you have to get these things into you, but you got to. Because these people, their dynamic is to take from you. They want to take from you. And they will do everything they can in order to accomplish that goal outside of setting their own selves back. That's the one thing they won't do. They won't set themselves back.
Absolutely. I have to admit, I'm college educated and everything. And just this is such a very high level explanation of how trusts work and why they exist and why it's around. And I'm gonna sit and I'm gonna do my homework, and I'm definitely gonna be in touch with you, bro. So thank you again.
Definitely, no problem. Everybody, I don't have a problem talking with you. And if you are going to contact us, get your family together, get your people together, so we can talk to everyone. Let's make it a group call so we can bring all of the members of that family into that same headspace. So even if because a lot of times when your family, you're too close, they can't hear you. They still remember you as little Ray or little whatever. You're too close to them. So sometimes it takes a third party to introduce those dynamics to them in a way that they can get them without an emotional attachment, if that makes any sense.
Because with family, I can see that happening. But if you're going to sit and have a conversation, and we all need to do that. I mean, you know, anything can happen, you know, to anyone. And again, to me, this is just a smart way of protecting your own assets. It sounds like this, like you said, America was built on that. The U.S. was built on that.
Yes.
We are not even some of us aren't even a part of that. We're just working, we're living our day-to-day lives. We're not even considering certain things on how to protect, you know, little things we require and work for.
In the words of Dr. Claude Anderson, my people are the only ones expected to play the game of capitalism with no capital.
Yeah.
So the dynamic is, we start protecting our assets. We got to start protecting them assets. And I'm going to tell you, intellectual property is the biggest asset you have. Intellectual property is worth more money than real estate. Okay, I'm gonna bust this down. Intellectual property is the soda in the can that you buy. It's the Colonel's 11 herbs and spices. It's the way Burger King's burger is flame broiled and not fried. Intellectual property. That is where the money is. The way you do what you do, the process, you can put a patent on it. You can put a trademark and a copyright on damn near anything.
So what you making that statement, your art, what you making that statement, because I'm thinking about us with this show. Us with this show, the intellectual property is based on all three of us. Are you saying that we need to do a trust for the show too?
Man, look, if it's IP involved, then the trust need to own it. I'm telling you, if it's anything that can bear asset, anything that will increase in value, or anything that will hold its value, it needs to be in a trust. Because see, think about it like this show, and you guys, y'all operate right now, somebody can challenge for copyright. Somebody can challenge for these different things. But if you got that thing in a trust, and the trust owns the copyrights, owns the trademarks, owns all the patents for the process, they can't do anything without your license, without your release. If they do, it is a simple cease and desist order. And then they violate the cease and desist, everything they make. And I'm going to put this out there because a lot of people don't know this about copyright trademark law. Everything a person earns off of a pre-existing copyright or trademark, all of that income belongs to the trademark or copyright holder, not to the person who made it.
I'm gonna throw this out there, unless from what you just said, you just kind of put it into perspective of something that I don't think that everybody is thinking about. From what you just said, you just explained the music industry.
Yes.
Yeah.
You literally just explained the music industry and how they have the power that they have and the money that they make, and nobody really challenges them because they know this game right here.
Yep. They own the IP. That's one of the first things you sign off. It's a trick. It's not just a music game. If we look at it, these people know how important your intellectual property is. That's why when your kids are in elementary school, you sign a release for their intellectual property to the elementary school. So now if your kid paint a picture in the 3rd grade, then goes on to become Picasso, that school or that county can auction off their works, and you can't get nothing.
And that's why I brought that up about the series I was watching about, you know, Wheels or whatever with artists. Like they don't get the fact that they don't even own their own intellectual property. I want to say this. Now, what I'm seeing is a lot of people who date back to like the 50s, 60s, 70s, some of the 80s, some of the 90s, who were signing these, you know, contracts for distribution and with the record labels, you know. They don't even own themselves. And I think that was the big thing with Prince. When he woke up he started to get it. He didn't even own his own name. That's why he went to, I don't even have a name.
It's a reason that Michael Jackson called Tommy Mottola the devil. It's a reason that Michael Jackson called Sony Music the devil.
Yeah.
Look at the stuff they put out.
It's not the music. It's you. You can't perform anywhere. Can't do anything.
Look, in the music industry, we got to look at a lot of things. With that intellectual property comes creative control. And see, what a lot of those corporations do is they remove the artist's creative control. Jay-Z's 444 album, was not new music. It was all music from albums he had produced before, and the album arrangers pulled them off of his records. Because
Wow.
it did not match the dynamic that the company was putting out. In the hip hop and urban division, they only want certain music. That is why what's the little guy, Lil Nas X? I feel bad for the kid because he's a puppet. He don't own his intellectual property rights. He don't get to say what his music videos look like. They do. He don't get to. Most artists are slaves. That's literally why Prince made the song "Slave."
Yeah. Yeah. I distinctly remember. And the bad thing is, it historically, that has always been an issue. But it comes up, and it's unfortunate. It really comes up after their death, because now people are there to claim assets, what they owe me, what's this and what's that, because they see the estate is available.
Yes, ma'am.
And they can put a claim on it.
Yeah, because this is the thing. The law says that two people who split royalties in perpetuity are the publisher and the writer. The artists who sing the song don't even get the money.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of us be messed up. We be like, oh, the artists get the money. No, they don't. They don't get no money for being no artist. They get money. That's a work for hire contract. They get money for writing that song or publishing that song. That's where the residual income comes from. That's why Ray Charles, and I give him a whole lot of props. That old brother was on his thing. Before he passed, he owned all of his intellectual property rights to all of his masters.
He worked that out in his contract.
Yes.
That wasn't just in the movie. That was facts. And that was one of the things that actually made, for his career, he kind of dwindled down for a little while, because he really came out on top, and they seen that. They seen it. They knew it.
Well,
I think in a lot of regards, same thing with Michael Jackson. But that's a different concept for a different day. When they see that you're coming up on top, and you get it, and you're starting to own these things, not just perform them, not just be the artist, but you're owning them. You own yourself.
Yes,
your brand. You're a brand. You are intellectual property. When you get that, you become dangerous to these other agencies.
Yes, ma'am. Because they can't control the things that you say. They can't control the music. See, we got to look at a lot of the dynamics by which we got to remember all of this stuff is business. Everything is about economics and the extraction of wealth. Marketing. What way can I get these people to spend money? So if you look at the music, it is a direct reflection of the spending. That's why the songs talk about the J's and the Gucci's and all of the brand names. That's why they talk about all of the expensive liquors and these type of things. As a matter of fact, I have a club owner here in my local area, and we talk quite a bit because I helped him build out his business. And when I first met him, he goes, I won't buy alcohol from my distributor if they don't mention it in a song. If they ain't talking, because he say, look, if I put on Incredible Hulk, oh, I know I'm gonna sell out of Hennessy and Hypnotic. If I put on Let's Drink Beer, I'm gonna sell out of Beer tonight. If I put on Remy, the Remy song, oh, I'm gonna sell out of Remy tonight. So he only buys alcohol that is mentioned in the music because he don't have to market the alcohol in.
Yo, Art, I'm gonna ask you this last question, then we're gonna go ahead and end it for the night. Somebody said, how about life insurance policy?
Yes, life insurance policies are tradable asset instruments. What you do is you keep one policy outside of the trust and then put the other policy inside the trust. You should never just have one life insurance policy. I'm gonna put that out there. Don't never just have one life insurance policy. It's a tradable instrument. The face value of your life insurance policy is actually an asset. If you get a $500,000 life insurance policy, you have $500,000 worth of assets. They don't tell you this stuff.
All right, so for everybody out there that's listening, I highly suggest that you reach out to Arthur on IG at the N Jones Agency, because I know all three of us will be. I'm not reaching out. No, like I'm different. I'm a little special. Me and him gonna talk on the phone. Me and him gonna talk on the phone, like hands down. But
yes, sir.
What I can say to you is, you gave these people a lot of information that they probably had no clue about, like literally no clue about, and it changes the game. And what I want people to understand is, He gave you the blueprint of how you can change your life for generations to come.
Yeah.
Like he just put you on a path so you don't have to complain about shit, and you never have to worry about your family complaint and they having the same complaints that you've been making all of these years and that you heard when you was a kid. Straight up and down. It changes the entire dynamic. So I would advise you get your questions ready. Don't Google shit. Take your ass on DuckDuckGo and go find some true real shit so that you're not just seeing whatever everybody's putting out there.
I got a better resource for you. Check this out. Go to .gov. Go to the Senate.gov. Put in a search bar, trust law. Then you get straight from the federal government
to the
what
source.
they say the law is. And when you have that information, it gives you a different set of field. It gives you a different field to play on. So learn that law, because that is where you're working now. You're working in the law dynamic, strictly in the law dynamic. This ain't so much economics as it is law, because the law is what's protecting those economic assets.
Right.
So yeah, .gov. .gov, that is the government site. That is where they are required by law to post all of the government information.
Yes. Yeah, I actually use that myself a lot.
And lastly, do you have any books that you suggest for people to read?
I've been reading The Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith. It is a strict economics book. However, he is the economics guru that when Benjamin Franklin and these guys founded this country, they went to Adam Smith. He is the guy who basically wrote the book on capitalism. It is a hard read, but it is a worthy read. It puts you in a place where you understand the positioning of the country and where you fall in that positioning of the country, if that makes any sense. I also recommend Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson.
Yep.
Here's what's funny about you saying Powernomics. My younger cousin that I've been talking about, I gave her my Powernomics book today and told her to start reading it. Literally today.
Yes, good. Everybody needs to read it because he gives you a real set of solutions in that book. These are things that we should do. We start doing these things, the economic dynamic, the social dynamic, and the status dynamic begin to change.
Yep.
All right. So for everybody out there, we wanna thank you for tuning in. Without question, Arthur came on and did his thing to give you he pointing you in the right direction. And I highly advise you, if you watch this show, reach out to him and start this process. I'm starting this shit. Me and him already talked. He knows kind of the basis for me. But now, knowing what I learned tonight, it's time to go ahead and start putting more things in motion. And honestly, you can't get shit done if you don't start. And for anybody watching this episode tonight, you don't have a fucking excuse. You don't have an you do not have an excuse not to be able to move forward. None. So for everybody, I implore you, share this video. Share, like, subscribe, tag as many people as you can. Get people to watch this particular episode because this is the episode that can honestly and truly change your life for generations to come. And that's the objective, and that is the goal. Point blank, period.
I want to put this out there. You now have no excuses because you know. So you can't say, I didn't know. That's not an excuse now.
Right. Yep. There it is.
All right. So y'all have a good night. Arthur, don't end it once the live ends. Don't end it. Don't just click off because we want to talk to you after the show. Excuse me.
Okay.
I want to talk to you after the show. Somebody gonna be gone. But
okay.
Yeah. But so everybody, y'all have a good night, and we will see y'all next week. But the big thing, like I said, subscribe on YouTube. Or if you're on Facebook, tag some people. We got to get people watching this show so we can change some lives. Y'all have a great night.
Good night.
Night.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you.